Hello everyone, this is John again, and welcome back to my Koine Greek tutoring session. This will be session 6 or video 6. In session 5 or video 5, we went over the last part of part 3. And we went over my special Greek formula system, which are, again, basically 6 simple formulas with which to put together Greek sentences. And as you put them together, it's like putting together a mathematical formula and then solving in the end. And the solution of the formula would basically be the correct interpretation of the Greek sentence. And I showed you how all of that worked, which is a very, in my opinion, and according to the way I view Greek, and according to my research, a very effective way for the Greek student to start forming sentences, because you go from a very simple sentence to a more complex sentence, and so on and so forth. And as the sentences, or as the formulas, go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, the student is learning how to put more grammatical material in each subsequent formula, so as to come to a point where he or she can put together a pretty much complex Greek sentence with all the necessary grammatical elements. And so now we're going to go over part 4, which is pretty much the last part here for this series. But we may do other series, subsequent series in the future, because there's still a lot to go over in Greek. But again, my video series focuses on the main things that a student needs to learn effectively in order to start dealing with and understanding completely ancient Greek. Okay? And everything that I'm going over here are things that are the most necessary elements of Greek. And again, you have to know English grammar at least a little bit in order to understand Greek grammar, because understanding ancient Greek has to do a lot with grammar. And that's pretty much how everything's taught nowadays, but my system is a system where it's going to teach the students to immediately recognize elements in a Greek sentence so as to enable him or her to interpret it most effectively. And again, we're dealing with all the main elements that are very necessary, and that is subjects, objects, verbs, adjectives, prepositions, etc. These are the things that a student needs to learn, and that and recognizing these things are something that a student struggles with, because in a 9-week, let's say, quarter, it's pretty difficult to cover all this stuff. So my system helps you basically immediately start recognizing all these elements so as to be able to deal and handle with Greek more effectively, especially within a short quarter or semester. So part 4 today, proper prepositions in depth. Okay, in depth. What we will cover more extensively in part 4 here is proper prepositions, because they tend to be difficult for the student to grasp, because A, they have various meanings. For example, epi means onto, or on top of, or during, or over. Okay, with various cases. Okay, they have various meanings with various cases. And B, they alter objects, which is what we covered in part 3 a little bit. Proper prepositions are called as such because they also form compounds in front of Greek verbs and nouns. Okay, so for example, adi, okay, which means instead of, okay, or against, plus Christos, okay, which is Christ, equals adichristos, which is Antichrist. Okay, so, but what we are focusing on here, okay, what we are focusing on here is their prepositional function. See? And here's a little note here. Adi, okay, also means instead of. Okay, so I give an example here. Adi aftu, or the way we abbreviate it in Greek, adaftu. See that? We remove the iota from the end of adi because we don't want two vowels touching each other. And it's adaftu, instead of him. Okay? So Antichrist, in other words, could be interpreted as instead of Christ. It could be interpreted that way also. Okay, so we're focusing on the way prepositions, okay, work and function. So let's go over Strong's Concordance, okay, as via our favorite website, BibleHub.com, because we have some amazing resources on learning the depths of Greek grammar. Okay, so let's look at these images below. Prepositions. Okay, here we will analyze all prepositions and give you some good visualization aids to enhance your learning. Okay, so Strong's Concordance here. Okay, epi. We're just looking at this simple preposition, which is what we've gone over before. Okay, as you go to BibleHub.com, it's going to show you this exactly right here. Okay, and so basically what you can do is you can go to the part here. Here's BibleHub.com. Okay, and then you have this lexicon part here. Okay. Okay, so basically what you can do is, let's just give a quick example. Say you're looking up a word, any word at this point. Okay, here's just John 1:1. Okay, now all these tabs here will give you different ways to view a Greek text. So for something very simple, let's look at interlineary. Okay, so here's John 1:1. Okay, and let's just click on here, logos. So you go up to this section here, which is Strong Concordance. See that? Okay, there it is. So it's going to give you all the grammatical details here. See that? Alright, now let's go back to our preposition epi. Here's epi from as per Bible Hub. Okay, so now to analyze the meaning, okay, of epi, alright, go to the Bible Hub link, which will take you to that section. So here's the section of epi on Bible Hub. So I just showed you how to find it now on Bible Hub with the logos example. But let's look at epi. Here's epi's section. Okay, now here are things you need to notice in this particular section. See here, that will help you learn what you need to learn, okay, regarding prepositions and their uses in Greek. Here's what you need to learn. Number one, read the left side of the page. Here it is right here. It defines, describes, and analyzes each preposition from both biblical and other ancient texts. Okay? So, from both biblical and ancient text sources. Next sentence. It will also show you how many different uses there are for each preposition. And in the case of epi, there are a lot. Number two, to the right of the page. Here it is right here. Notice my cursor. Notice the other column. It shows you all the biblical references of each preposition and how each separate meaning is used in context. Okay? Is used in context, which is key. Here it is right here. So for example, okay, Matthew 4:5. It's being used here. Estisen afton epito pterigion. Okay? So he put him on, this is a P here, on a pinnacle. That's talking about when Satan tempted Jesus. So immediately we see on, okay, or upon, as another translation puts it, which is accurate. Okay, a P is being used as upon. Now here are other uses of a P here, and there are other ones too. Okay, so you have all the scriptural uses of a P here, as of course for every other word in the Bible, as per Strong's Concordance. Okay, here's another simple example of how a P works. Okay, let's focus here. So we're just going to give you a simple example, since we're talking about prepositions. Onto, it means onto. A P as onto is like a plane landing onto a runway. Look at my example here below, bottom left-hand screen. A good biblical scriptural example would be Matthew 11:29, where it says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. The upon you is the focus here. With the upon you, okay, that's the focus here. Okay, in Greek, it is ephimas. Ephimas. And no, again, I'm using the modern Greek pronunciation here, not the Erasmian. Okay, I may do a lesson on the Erasmian for those that are interested in it, because to me it is controversial, but for now, just stick with me here with the modern Greek, okay, pronunciation. So in Greek, it's ephimas, which means, okay, look at here, on to us, okay? I'm sorry, actually it's on to you in this case. This should be you, because this is a personal, plural, personal, this is a personal pronoun in the second person plural accusative here. Onto you, he's saying, or upon you here, okay? Just like how you see this plane in this image below land onto the tarmac, same concept. Here, this is epi and imas. Epi, though, when it meets, okay, another word here that begins with a vowel, in a lot of instances, it'll turn to F, okay? F, all right? So the vowel here of a P, which would be iota, the ending vowel, iota, when it touches this vowel, according to Greek, for the sake of the fluidity of pronunciation or ease of pronunciation, we turn this to F. So the P iota, in other words, turns to F. So it's ephimas. So if you haven't learned that yet, don't get confused. Okay? So when this, and that's the same, pretty much the same happens with other prepositions when they meet nouns that begin with vowels, okay, just like imas here, all right, so which means, okay, now this means on to you, same concept. When Jesus says take my yoke on to you, it's like this plane landing onto the tarmac, same type of concept, okay? Now notice again the object you, imas, is in the accusative case. Why? Because this type of action involves direct contact, and when there's direct contact, okay, you have to use accusative. So this action involves direct contact, and this is particularly, or this is perfectly portrayed in the image, okay, in the image of the plane making direct contact with the runway with its wheels. So the yoke comes onto you, the wheels come on to the tarmac, okay? This, okay, in this sense, okay, this, in the sense, this, in the sense that you have, okay, just like in the above picture, upon you, meaning on to you, okay? This in the sense that you have, just like in the above scripture, upon you, meaning on to you, okay? So that's basically the sense that you're getting here, okay? This was just one use of a P, because there are quite a few uses of a P. Depending on the case, and this is key here, of the noun it's associated with. Remember, we've gone over this before. Depending on the case of the noun, it's associative. So if a P is associated with another case, you're going to get a different meaning. Okay? In general, for all prepositions in relation to nouns, the case of the noun in association with the preposition, okay, will convey to you a very distinct and unique meaning and or situation. Meaning and situation, I should say. So here it is right here. Here's our example, okay? So another example of, okay, of a P, for example, if you want to use it another example, okay? If I were to say epi metro, metro is in the dative, okay? Metro, okay, would be its nominative form, which means measure, and it ends with an omicron. But if I were to say, though, epimetro, it ends in an omega, and again, that's in the dative, and that means tailor-made. To tailor, to fit, tailor-made. See? So, that's just an example. Let's go over the rest of the prepositions with my own makeshift visual aids. And we will stick mainly to BibleHub.com. That's Bible Hub. Actually made a mistake there. Bible Hub. For all the various meanings and uses for each preposition. I'll be describing to you how they work. Okay, let's begin with all the remaining prepositions and review them within their contextual meanings just like we did for a P. Okay? Okay. The other prepositions are from the website of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences from the University of Florida, and here's the website here I reference here. Okay? The other prepositions I'm using are from the University of Florida here. And this is the website clas.ufl.edu. So here's the full link right here. You can cut and paste that in your browser. Alright, and this is very good here to use. That's why I'm using it. Okay, proper prepositions form compounds. Okay? They form compounds, which is what we use with adi Christos. Okay, so let's go over this really quick. Okay? Some prepositions are used with one case, two cases, or three cases. Okay? One case only prepositions. Let's look at these really quick. That use the genitive. Adi, which was what we used earlier, which means instead of or in exchange. So for example, ad inu skifu. Ad inu skifu, which means in exchange for a cup of wine. See that? Apo, from, away from. You'll see that a lot in New Testament Greek. So for example, in the Lord's Prayer where it says, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. The part in Greek, from evil, is apo tuponiru. Apo tuponiru. Apo, with a genitive object, okay? Alright, object, which would be poniros, but it's in the genitive, poniru. See that? Okay? So, from, okay? From, away from. Then there's, of course, ek, or x, or ek, which is sort of like a po, but it means more of out of, or out of, origin of. And I'll give you an example of what that means. And then, of course, there are some that prepositions that only use the dative, like en, which means in, or on, or at, or among. See that? And we give some examples here. For example, en kero, which means at the right moment. En kero, in the right moment, meaning the right season. That's the right time. That's like God's perfect timing. That's what this means. Because keros, which means season or time or weather, when it means time, it means the perfect time, select time. Okay? The right time. So that's an example of that. Now, there are some that use two cases. Let's just go over these really quick. Okay? And again, you can go over all of these for your review here. Alright? Which is very simple. Okay? And this is something that's going to basically aid your understanding. Okay? You see here there's also seen and is and things like that. Okay? So, two cases only. Alright? There's via, which uses the genitive and it uses the accusative. See that? Via. Alright? Let's see, for example, via when it's used with the genitive. Okay? It can be used adverbally, like an adverb. Diasphalias, here you see, diasphalias, which means safely, literally through safety, because dia means through, okay? Dia also can be used with the accusative, okay? Which means through, but, again, dia means through, but in this case, though, with the accusative, it means more specifically owing to a cause or a person. Owing to a cause or a person, or on account of something, okay? If I were to say in Greek, let's give a quick example. Diafton, meaning for him or on account of him. Okay? So, dia is used with the genitive and accusative. Dia cannot be used with any other case. Now note this down for prepositions. What you're seeing here in this chart here is standard. Okay? You cannot use, for example, adi, okay, with other cases. It doesn't work that way. These are used, each preposition is used with a specific case or cases in Greek. It cannot be used with any other case that it does not fit or match with grammatically. Note that down. This is very key. So, for example, kata, it's used with the genitive and accusative. It cannot be used with any other case. Okay? And we see examples here too. Meta, genitive and accusative. See? Now, we see an example here where it says, met afneus tis simachias. Met afneus tis simachias. Which means when the alliance was intact. Okay? That's meta with the genitive. See that? So, which means in this case circumstantial. So it can be used in a certain circumstance. Other uses of meta with the genitive would be personal accompaniment. Okay, if I were to say in Greek, for example, Ipigen meta ton adelphon aftu. Ipigen meta ton adelphon aftu. He went, okay, with his brethren, or being personally accompanied, okay, with his brethren. Also note too that some of these prepositions, okay, can be likened to other prepositions or can be used as synonyms with other prepositions, okay? So if I were to say something like meta tu theu, and again we're using the genitive in this case, okay? And we're gonna use meta in this case, okay, to demonstrate what I'm talking about, how some prepositions can be used as synonyms for others. So meta can be used as a synonym with sin, the one we looked at earlier, briefly. Sin, here it is. Okay? Sin just means with someone, okay? Like with the help of the gods. It's used with the dative. Okay? It's used with the dative, as you see here, sin. Meta is used with the genitive and the accusative. Okay? Now, meta with the genitive can be used as a synonym, okay, for sin and the dative. If I were to say, for example, meta tu theu, with God, okay? Alright? And if I were to also say sin to theo, with God, okay? They're one and the same. Okay? There are differences, but they're one and the same in Greek. Alright? That's just a simple note. Alright? And those are things that, little things that you'll learn as you go along, which are extra details, but they're important. Now, iper, okay? Used with genitive and accusative. Now, there are prepositions that are used with all three cases. Epi, there's our favorite preposition again. It's used with the genitive, okay, meaning on, upon, okay, in general relations, or temporal, in time, okay. Now, if it were to be used with the genitive, okay, and I were to say something like epi ton imeron imon, okay, during our days, okay, or epi tu vasileus irodotu, okay, during the reign of the king's Herod. See that? So that's a P with the genitive. It's used with the dative, okay? For example, on a condition that, alright, when it's used with the dative, okay? And let's see, it's used in many different ways with the dative, pertaining to something personal, under the power of, okay? Additive, okay? For example, if I were to say epi tis the, in addition to these things. See that? It's used as causal. So, epi with dative is used as causal. For example, epi ti pisti to onomatos aftu. Okay? Because of his faith in his name. Meaning this was the cause. See? Okay? Or because of his faith, that's the cause part, in his name. To onomatos aftu. Okay? So, that's just a simple example there. Also, epi with the dative is used for purposes. Okay? So, for example, argirion dedokas episophia. There's a episophia is the purpose here. You have given money for wisdom episophia. So you have to know, okay, how each preposition works, which with its respective cases, and with each case, okay, there's a specific. There may be one or more uses. That's my point. Like here, see that? So you'll have to go over these. Epi is used with the accusative, okay? And we gave the example. Epi, okay, meaning onto, like the plane onto the tarmac. Now, there's other ones here. Para, peri, pros, ipo. See that? These all have three uses. Now, quick example here. Let's see how these work. Very simple examples here. I take this image from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. uncg.edu. Full link is right here. See all this information here for your information. So, here's a guy. He's on a lion, right? And it says, Epi tu leondos. Okay? Epi tu leondos. Okay? Epi with the genitive here. Leondos is in the genitive, meaning upon the lion. He's riding upon the lion. That's what that means. So if you're using that concept, riding upon, it has to be epi with the genitive. Okay? Let's look at this example here. Kata with the genitive. Kata tu leondos, down from the lion. He's going down the lion. See that? Like down a slide? Well, he's going down the lion. That concept, down from, kata with the genitive you use. Ipo. Okay? Ipo to leondi. See that? He's under the lion. See that? Ipo with the dative in this case. If you're under something, you got to use ipo with the dative. Okay? Iston leonda. Iston leonda. Into the lion. Into something, you got to use is with the accusative. Into something, because that means motion into something. En to leondi. He's now in the lion. The lion ate him, right? So he's situated in. En with the dative. That's very key because this is used a lot in Greek. Ek to leondos. See how the lion spits him out? Ek, from, or out of. Okay? Ek to leondos. Ek must be used with the genitive. And it expresses out of the origin of something. Well, he's coming out of the lion's stomach. Okay? Out of a position of something. Okay? Out of a state of something. That's what that ek with the genitive means. And then, of course, apo to leondos, from the lion. Okay? Or para. But usually apo is used more in New Testament Greek. Apo, from. Okay? Now, here's another quick example with these mice here. Now, look at these mice. Iper. We didn't go over that really yet. So let's just look at iper. Alright? Iper. Okay? See that right there? It's general meaning. Now, what we're looking at, okay, is general meanings of. We're looking at general meanings, okay, of prepositions. Here with this example with the mice, which is very helpful. Okay? So, just so you get acquainted with iper, okay? Iper is used with the genitive and with the accusative. See that? Which means over, above, on behalf of, when used with the genitive. Okay? So, over, above, on behalf of. So if I were to say, Iper tu adelfu mu, on behalf of my brother. Okay? Iper with the accusative means over or beyond. Okay? With the accusative. Iper. Okay? Let's say, for example, let's see, if I were to say he loved him over his brethren. Okay? So, igapon, okay, afton, iper τους αδελφούς αυτού. So the per τους αδελφούς, iper is being now associated with the accusative, over, above, okay, more than, in other words. He loved him more than his brethren. So, quick example. Now, these are the general meanings that you get with prepositions. Again, the mouse, iper, above. Iper, he's iper the other mice. That's the accusative in this case, okay? So, simple examples how they work. Epi, see epi? Its simple general example or meaning is upon something. But again, these can go into different cases to be more specific for certain situations, but these are the general meanings. Ana, see the mouse? Ana means up onto something. See that? The general meaning of kata means down something. See that? En means in something. See that? Let's look at adi. The general meaning or sense of what we're getting is against. See the mouse? He's against the cheese. Ek. Okay? Ek, he's coming out of the cheese. It means out of. Okay? Is, into the cheese, is going into the cheese. Here's one here we didn't go over. Amphi means around on both sides, like amphitheater in English. In Greek, amphitheatron. Well, it means on both sides of. See? Okay? And I think what it's showing here is that this cat here, who's obviously looking at the mice, he's on both sides of the cheese. He's on this side, and his hand is on the other side. Amphi. Ipo, general meaning under. Okay? Via, general meaning through. We went over that. Pros, general meaning towards something. You're going towards something. Para, general meaning you're just beside something. Beside something. See that? Now, these are general meanings, which will aid your understanding. Go back, okay, to our chart here, and go over them. This is it. This is what you need to know. Okay? This is all of it right here. That's what you need to know. Simple meanings. Here's a geometrical example from ntgreek.net. I take this from their website. And here's the full link right here. Okay. So, again, general meanings. But now we're going to use a geometrical example. Let's go over peri. We didn't really go over that one. Around. It means around. Like peripheter. Okay? Or periphery. I'm sorry. Periphery. Around. The periphery of the building. Okay, the periphery of this square. Okay, via, through. See how it goes through it. Ek, you see how it goes out of it, from the origin, out of the origin, like I said. Ipo, under. You see how it's under. A here is under. Is, into. Epi, upon it. See that? Iper, above it. See that? Okay. These are all good examples. Now let's go to Bible Hub again, okay, and see their biblical contextual uses. Okay, so at that part, at this part, during this part, you basically can, do what I showed you. Okay, like in the example we went over with epi. Okay, just type in epi, for example. Let's go to it. All right. If you don't have a way to type it, it might be difficult, but go to this bar here on Bible Hub. For example, put in epi. It should bring it up if you type it in this way, but I think you may have to use the certain marks of accentuation. Okay? So, basically, you're going to put that in there. Alright? It's going to pull it up. Okay, yeah, you probably have to use the marks of accentuation. Alright, so there are certain ways to find that out and type that in. But just put its English translation, okay? Upon, okay? Now, upon, let's find that, okay, in Greek, in a scriptural example in Greek. Let's first find upon in Greek, okay? You see how when I type it in English, it's going to give you all the different meanings of upon, both, of course, in Hebrew textual references from the Old Testament, but also in Greek textual references in the New Testament. So again, we know upon, okay, to be epi in Greek already. Okay, so if you're trying to find basically, basically any word, okay, just type it here in English, or if you know it in Greek, type it in here, okay, but you may have to use the marks of accentuation, because that's how the search engine from Bible Hub takes it. Okay, now let's just find the preposition we're looking for, okay? So I'm giving you an example how to search for it here. So upon, we know it's a P, but let's look for a P and basically all its details, which is what I just showed you in my study guide. Okay, here's a P. See that? All right, here it is right here, a P. Here's all its contextual uses, okay? Biblical contextual uses. This same situation, what I'm showing you here, applies to any Greek word you're looking for in any biblical text, because this is the way Strong Concordance works, in conjunction with this website, BibleHub.com. BibleHub offers all this to you just like this. That's why this is so important. So if you didn't look any word up, my point is, use BibleHub. Go to that search bar I showed you, okay? Let's go to that search bar. Let's go back. Here it is right here. Or just click on the main page, for example. You need to find a word in Greek. Type it in there in English if you know it, or type it in Greek, but you may have to use the marks of accentuation. And if you don't know how to basically type those yet, an acute, a grave, all those type of things, okay, that's another lesson, okay, which I may go over, okay. But there are other websites out there that will help you type with that. Also, if you have a Mac or any other type of computer, you may be able to change the settings where you can type with Greek here. Now look at me here. Here I can change my settings to Greek polytonic or just regular Greek. See that? So say for example I change it to polytonic, right? Okay, now I just want to type a quick word. Logos. Logos. See that? Now I have the marks of accentuations there. Okay, I typed that in, okay. Didn't really receive it, but I don't know, before this website used to work like that. But regardless though, what you do is this. Use Google, okay. You can type it in there. Whoops, let's see here, wrong word there. Okay, again we're using the polytonic because we changed our settings to type here. See that? Logos. Now, this is what you do. Type in BibleHub.com. Try it this way. This is my point here. Oh, okay, here it is. See how I pulled it up there? It used to be where if you typed it here, it would pull it up, but I don't know, maybe they're reorganizing their website or restructuring it, I'm not sure. But anyway, just go to Google, type in the word that you want, BibleHub.com, alright? Or type it here, word. In English, maybe you can't type it in Greek yet. Word. See that? Same situation. John 1:1. Perfect scripture for word, right? In the beginning was the word. Now, you want to find word in Greek, type on the Greek. See that Greek tab? Here it is in the Greek. And here is our word. Okay? En archin inologos. Okay? Here it is right here. Here's the Strong's. Click on that. There it is right there. See that? And again, you can tab over all of these things here for different details that you may want. Okay? And when you go back to this page here, remember, you can tab over these two for a multi version here, where you get all the different Greek manuscripts. In other languages here, like Spanish, you get other versions here of the Bible in English. You have the lexicon tab, where it shows you each word with its lexicon meaning. See that right there? And its lexicon meaning, okay? And all of these things here. Alright? This is all great. Interlineary, remember we went over this in our previous lesson. Here it is, the English, direct English translation under the Greek. Alright? This is all fantastic stuff, take advantage of it. Commentary, Strong's Concordance, topics, sermons, all that's there. Now, real quick, in part 5, this is just real simple here I want to show you. These are key, useful ancient Greek teaching websites. Number 1, in order for the Greek student to be able to comprehend, memorize, and refer to Greek grammar, he or she needs the right online resources that are out there in order to be able to aid his or her learnings. Below, I present some very good sites that will be some excellent tools with which to supplement the Greek student's learning very effectively. So, we have Bible Hub right here. We have ntgreek.net, which I showed you before. We also have Wikipedia here, Ancient Greek Grammar section. So, for example, let's go to that. Okay. Type in Wikipedia's Ancient Greek Grammar. Here it is right here. This is very good and very effective, okay, to learn a little bit more in depth on Greek grammar. See that? It goes over accents, okay, definite articles, verbs. This is a very good brief explanation how these things work. Infinitives, okay, which is basically the form of a verb, okay, that is like the ing, the going ing of something, okay? And the infinitive can also act as a noun in Greek. Alright, so we may go over that in another lesson too. Participles, okay? Alright, we went over that briefly in our example from the 6 Greek formulas, the one spoken of, okay? Which I believe was in the 5th formula. Orithis. And remember, participle is a verbal adjective. Okay? Now here's something very important I want to show you from Wikipedia. Here. So anyway, just type in Google, if you don't have the link here, Wikipedia Ancient Greek Grammar. Now, let's go to this real quick. Copy and paste this into your browser. Ancient Greek Grammar tables. This is very key. What this is going to give you, okay, is all the grammatical details, okay, of all the elements of Greek, for nouns, for verbs, for everything, okay? If you need to refer to something, let's say you need to refer to a particular verb to see how it's conjugated, go to this section here, okay? If you need to find out basically what type of declension a noun is in, okay, like in this case, neanias, a young man, go to this website. It'll show you. It's in the first declension, okay, and how to decline it. And declining means how to go to the different cases, genitive, dative, accusative, vocative. See that? So it goes over articles, nouns, okay? It's going all over the different declensions. First, second, third. And again, the declensions are basically how nouns form themselves in different numbers, meaning plural, and cases, okay? Because they don't all have the same endings. This will show you what to do. I'm showing you right now. You go here, you get everything you need here, okay? So for example, okay, you have this type of a noun here, okay, where it's in a certain declension, okay? Third declension, for example. See this right here? This is the third declension. And you have certain types of nouns in this type of declension. For example, ichthys, the fish. Alright, this is kind of odd because usually Greek nouns, you know, this is a male Greek noun, but usually the male Greek nouns end in omicron sigma. Well, not all do. For example, ichthys, okay, is basically, alright, right here, okay, and it's a male noun, and it doesn't end in omicron sigma, it ends in epsilon sigma. So it's going to show you now how to decline it. See that? So these are all the details. There's 3 declensions in Greek. In other words, 3 ways, okay, that Greek verbs can be changed into certain numbers, okay, or into numbers, singular, plural, and cases, genitive, accusative, etc. This is invaluable, this chart. Bookmark this. Also, let me show you here. It goes on to verbs, okay? See this here? It's going to go on to also verbs, okay? All the different types of conjugations, first, second, third, and fourth. Those are the different ways that verbs can be conjugated, okay? Formed and conjugated. It's going to go over all the verbs you need to know, okay? The active verbs, middle deponent, and passive, all right? And you're seeing that right here, contract verbs, which you're going to go over in your seminary classes, all right? For example, timao. These are the ones that end basically with alpha, omega, omicron, omega, okay, etc. It's going to give you all the details here. This is very valuable. Bookmark this site. Okay, now, some other ones here. Okay, we went over it here. Okay, yeah, New Testament Greek. This is the index, but I put it here again for some reason. Also, in the saltshaker.com, this is very important here. I'm going to show you this real quick. Let's go over this. Just type in the saltshaker.com, okay? In the saltshaker, one word.com. But go to this section though, drills/drills, okay? Okay, /drillindex.htm. Here it is. Drills index. If you go over all of these, it will drill you. It will teach you and drill you in all the elements of Greek grammar, and it's very effective. For example, the Greek article. The uses of the Greek article. Okay, its purpose, its meaning, its works, overview, its functions. The use as a pronoun, okay, because the Greek article can be used as a pronoun. Okay? Alright, so for example, o the apokrythis ipen, but he answered and said. The he here in English, in Greek it's omicron. See, it's not the here, it's he. Okay, so it's showing you, alright, all the elements here of articles and how they can also be used as pronouns. So, go over all this. It's going to give you extensive lessons here, okay, on every element of Greek. And it's very good because it gives you all the in-depth stuff of Greek. But I'm showing you in these lessons, basically, how to understand, okay, Greek grammar by first gaining more knowledge of English grammar. And the moment you understand how English grammar works and all its regular main elements, okay, then you'll be able to incorporate that into Greek. Okay? The moment you understand how the Greek grammatical elements work with a basis, okay, with having a basis, okay, in understanding how English grammar works, then Greek will be simple for you after that. And that's why I designed these formulas, the 1 through 6, which we went over in lesson 5. And that's why I showed you how to spot them, okay? And that's why I showed you simple things like the nominative. Usually it's always in, okay? Or that's why I showed you the subject. The subject, usually it's always in the nominative, and that's how you can spot it in a sentence. And when you see it in a sentence, okay, you can immediately then associate it with a verb that's doing an action in the sentence. So you associate those two together, boom. Immediately you already know who the subject is and what he's doing. And then in order to find the object, the one that's receiving action, you're going to notice, okay, that it's going to be in another case. Okay? It's going to be in another case when it's receiving action from, okay, the subject. Alright? These are just basic, simple things you need to learn right now. Okay? And also, we talked a little bit about passive verbs, okay, which means something's happening to you. Something's happening to you, okay? And this website here will go over that, okay? So I used an example before in previous lessons of plitome, That is the passive form of plito. Plito, which ends in omega, it's an active verb, means to strike. Plito me means I'm being struck. Okay, see that? Now, to just show you really quick how that looks. Okay, so you don't, so you get a visual aid here from me. Okay, we're gonna go over really quick a verb here. Okay, and we're gonna show you what I mean. Okay, so in this chart here, okay, you just have a simple verb here, vichnimi, which is an irregular verb. Okay, it's basically athematic, which means it ends in mi, yota. You're going to see a lot of these. Okay, it's like a middle deponent, and it's active, to show. Okay, now it can be shown, okay, it can be in the middle voice or in the passive voice. See that? These are two very key things. So right now I'm telling you a little bit again about passive verbs. So focus here. Here it is here in its active voice. Actually, I should say. This is an active verb. Okay? This is its active form, is what I'm showing you. Now, it can be, what I'm trying to say is in the middle voice or in the passive voice, as you can see here. Now, in the present tense, okay, these are the different persons. These are the different, for me, for I, for you, for he, she, it, for we, for you, plural, and for they. Alright? In the present tense, as you can see, the middle voice and the passive voice look the same. In the active voice, though, okay, they don't look the same. It has a different form. This is active, okay, meaning it's doing action on object. And don't get confused with those other verbs, okay, that end in omega, that are active. Most of the Greek verbs that are active end in omega. This is an exception, okay? That's what I'm showing you. So look out for these type of verbs too. These are athematic, meaning they end in mi, yota. See that? Mi, yota. So, here it is right here. And the stem, of course, has, okay, this is what you call ni ipsilon stem verbs. And these are irregular verbs. And there's quite a few of these. Alright? Here it is right here. It's in the present tense. Active voice. Here's its middle and passive. See that? Now, we already went over middle. Okay, we already went over middle. Alright? Now, let's just look real quickly at passive. Okay? Vichnime. Okay? Vichnime. So, that means I am myself, I'm being showed to something or somewhere. Vichnise, you are being showed to somewhere, to something. Vichnite, he is being showed, she is being showed, is being showed to something. Okay? The action, basically, now is being put on me in the verb form. Okay? Vichnimetha, we see here. Okay. Vichnise, you, plural, being shown. Vichninde, they are being shown. Okay? Now, here it is again. Alright. Here. They are the same in the indicative. You see that? In the indicative. Alright? They're the same form in the indicative. Okay? So, verbs that are active and have a middle and passive voice will look the same, okay, in the present tense and in the imperfect tense, indicative. Okay, meaning it's the way it's shown, displayed. Okay, there will be differences though, okay, in the future. They won't look the same in the future. Note this now, meaning verbs that are active that have a middle voice and a passive voice, okay, they're going to look the same again in the present and in the perfect. In the future, they're going to look different. Note this. This is very key. In the aorist, see this right here? They're going to look different. For example, edixamin in the middle. Look at the passive. Edichthin, it's different. In the perfect, dedichme, they look the same. See that? In the subjunctive, okay, which is conditional type of a situation, they look the same. in the optative, meaning expressing wish. Okay? For example, if I were to say, vignido, that they may be shown. Okay? The passive looks the same as the middle. How do you know the difference? This is something you need to learn as you go along. Okay? Depends on context. Imperative, they look the same. Infinitive, they look the same. Participle. So, passive verbs, again, means something's happening to me. Now you know that they look a lot like middle deponent verbs, okay, in certain tenses, but the function is different, so note that too. And you're going to go along and learn all this in your seminary classes too. And that is the end of this Koine Greek tutoring session, and I may do other lessons, like I said, in the future. Thank you very much for listening. God bless.